All right, restarted the stream. Let me know in chat if you can hear me. It's showing an excellent connection, so we'll see. So is this any better? Are we getting a lot of lag? Hey, what's going up? What's up, Robert? See if hopefully, maybe. Looks like it still might be lagging. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I'm just looking at the little preview. It's working fine, Calvin. All right, well, that's good. Just still looks like the preview is a little lagged. All right, seems like so far this is working for everybody. All right, I'm just going to give it a few here and make sure everything is still good. All right, everybody's saying it looks good. So let's just go ahead and recap. So we found port 80 open through our in-map scan. And you can see it's running the IIS web server version 6.0, which is pretty old. We're also able to see that we're running some sort of Windows server, most likely. Could be 2003, XP, 2008, or 2000. All reasonable guesses. So did a little searching in Metasploit to try to see what are some of our options for modules. And this is what we came up with. Did a little browsing on the web. Found the CVE 2017 7269. And that's pretty much where we are. So I'll let this Durbuster go. And as you can see, we found a lot of common folders that you would find on an IIS server. We're just going to go ahead and let that complete. And let's take a look at some of our options. So looking here, we have a lot of WebDAV is a commonplace or function of IIS that is often exploited. So let's just run this right here and see if we can detect this bypass. So we're going to set our remote host. That's 10, 10, 10, 15. And we use set G to set that as the global variable for our hosts. That we don't have to type it in each time we try a different module. So that's all we need there. So let's just go ahead and run that. And no, does not require authentication. So that's not going to work for us. This box that we're working on is Granny. Just for those who may have missed out and didn't catch that. It is the Granny, which is based around a CVE. So that's what we're working with. All right, so what other options do we have here? Let's check out this bypass. Good to go. spell run, right? Was that the same one I ran before? I thought that was a different one. Nope, it was the same one. My bad. This is the one I wanted. All good. And I'm not sure if this is locked up or what. All right, guess it's saying it's not found. So let's go back to our list. So let's look at some of the exploits here. And again, this is just kind of the spray and pray method. If you're somewhat of a noob and just getting started, this can be a method that you can use to basically spray and pray that one of your exploits for the particular service that you're trying to exploit is vulnerable. So let's try this. Exploits, let's see what our options are. So we're good to go. Let's see if there's any other targets, though. That looks like that would probably be fine. Okay, so no other targets. Let's set our payload. Windows interpreter. Reverse TCP. Let's set our options on that. Set G localhost 0. Let's look at our options. Everything looks good. So let's go ahead and run that exploit and see if that works. And it looks like it worked, and we have a session. So sweet. It looks like we now have a shell on the box. Let's go ahead and give this a few more seconds. See if it takes a while. Otherwise, we'll just drop it out. All right, there we go. Let's see what's going on in chat. So, looks like Steven is still having a problem. I'm not sure what's up. It's showing an excellent connection. If anybody else is having a problem, if you would, let me know in chat. That way I can see if I can do anything about it. But now let's go ahead and check out our interpreter session here. So the first thing I want to do is see who I am. And according to this, I cannot do that. It's giving me an error. So let's migrate our process. So let's see what we got running. And let's just migrate. Let's try 648. See if we can migrate to a more stable process. And then hopefully we can, there we go. So now we're running as the network service. So why TUN0? So if you look, you can see TUN0 is my VPN connection into HackTheBox. So if I just type TUN0, Metasploit will automatically put whatever my IP address is, and it's just a shortcut to having to type in my IP address. So that's why when I set the options for the reverse TCP payload, you can see it's set to TUN0. That's basically just going to substitute that with my IP on the VPN. So again, just a shortcut to not have to type out the full IP address. So that's why that is. All right, So now that we have a session, and an interpreter session rather, on that box, the next thing I would do if I was just trying to do the spray and pray approach is use the local, forget what it's called exactly, local exploit suggester. Yeah. So what this module will do, it's pretty cool. Once you have a session, you can use this, and it will go through the it'll use your open session, get all the details from that box, and then see, is it potentially vulnerable to any local privilege escalations. So we're going to go ahead and use that now. Let's see what our options are, and you can see that we need to set a session number. And so let's list our sessions, and obviously we have one which is set to number 1. So we'll go set G, and again I'm using set G because that's going to set this as the global variable. So if we use any other modules, we won't have to enter this again, and I like that. So we'll do session 1. So now we're good to go. We can just go ahead and run this. It's going to connect to the server using our interpreter session and run a bunch of checks, and then spit out some potential exploits that we can use to gain privilege escalations on this box. So let's cross our fingers and see if we can get system privileges quickly here. All right, so do I have a specific methodology for capture the flag challenges? Capture the flag challenges can be a mixed bag because they can run the gamut of all sorts of different methodologies maybe. So some CTFs are very CTF-ish in the sense that it's about hacking, but it's also about kind of solving puzzles. That would use in a different approach than if you were doing a CTF that was more realistic or live based. And then there's some CTFs that are just individual challenges, where it's like, decipher this or do something on the web front. So those would all kind of require a different approach. I prefer to do CTFs that are more real world, in the sense that you're just attacking misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, weaknesses in a system. And with those, the approach would be just your more typical penetration testing methodology. And really that just comes down to enumerate, and enumerate. And if you haven't gotten anywheres, enumerate 1,000 more times, because chances are the answer you're looking for is in enumeration. So yeah. All right, so we can see we came back with several candidates that we could potentially use, and a lot of times it'll also try to validate the exploit, but you can see it's not always able to do so. So in this instance, it was not able to validate. This one says the target appears to be vulnerable. Another one, several of these say could not be validated. Looks like none of these were actually able to be validated. So we won't know 100% for sure unless we try. So let's just go ahead and use the spray and pray emote. Boy, I can't type. Spray and pray approach. And let's just start at the top here and work our way down and see what we come up with. So let's check our options. We're all good to go. So let's go ahead and run that. So it's going to reach out over our interpreter session, which is running as the system network services, not system. So from that session, I'm done. I did not do this properly. So let's try that again. All right, let's see if we have any other targets. Nope, that's it. So let's just go ahead and run that. All right, there we go. So now it's going to reach out over our session and attempt to escalate our privileges using this particular vulnerability. So let's see, exploit finished, waiting for hopefully privileged payload execution to complete. No session was created. So it sounds like it did not work, but let's go to our session and let's just see if it was upgraded. Nope, it was not. We're still network services, so yep, did not work. So let's see what the next exploit is. This track pop-up menu. I'm not familiar with that, but we're going to go ahead and use that module, see if there are any particular options we need to set. We're going to look and see if there's any other target options. We have 86 or 64, so 32-bit or 64-bit. We'll leave it at the default. Actually, let's go back to our session and let's do a sysinfo. And okay, we're running a 32-bit OS. So perfect. So let's go ahead and run that exploit. All right, so it says the exploit finish, no session created. Let's see, wait for hopefully privileged payload execution complete. Let's go back to our session. And just for shits and grins, still network service. All right, so let's keep going down that list because again, we're just using this spray and pray approach. Let's see if we have any other targets. Nope. So let's go ahead and run this module. Exploitation successful. That sounds promising, but no session was created. So, let's check our session. Let's get our UID. Aha, it did work. As you can see now, we are system. So we have owned this box. So is that not what it is? Get privs. I forget. Get privs. All right. So yeah, we've owned this box. Let's see where we are. Let's go back a few. There we go. And let's go to administrator. Let's go to desktop. And there is the flag. Now, I'm not going to display the flag, but if you want, you can go on HackTheBox and do this yourself and get the flag and submit it to your profile. But as you can see, here we go. We were able to get system privileges on this box. This one was pretty simple, but again, we kind of expected that because it's labeled as a CVE. And whenever you see these boxes, when they're, mainly focusing towards CVE, you know that you're going to, in some way or some fashion, use a known vulnerability that is on that box. Now, it could be the operating system. It could be some software on that box. It could be some sort of web application. Who knows? That's your job to find it. So that was a pretty easy, straightforward box. I was kind of keep it to just one box today, but since the lab kind of started a little, or the live stream started a little rough, there's a comparable box to this, which, where is it at? Let's see. There's Granny and there's Grandpa. So I think I'm going to go ahead and work this box. Maybe. Let's go ahead and fire that machine up. And this one is 10.10.14. Just going to wait for that to spin up. right. Let's see. All right. Box is not pinging yet. There we go. Box is online. Let's map that. And let's let that run and see what that comes up with. All right, once again, we have IIS, same version, same port, and a much wider range of options for the operating system. So let's hop over to this box and see what we have. So we got the same thing. Jeez. 15. So let's go back to HackTheBox. Let's look at what it says about this box. So again, it's mainly focused towards CVE, so we know we're going after some sort of vulnerability. So if you're a noob, again, the spray and pray approach will probably work. So let's just give that a go. Since really when you're exploiting IIS in this fashion, it's possible there's a web application, but if there's not a web application to target, then generally it's going to be most likely, if this is the only thing that's showing, that we're going to have to target the web server itself. So we need to look at any specific vulnerabilities with IIS in this particular version. And if it is a CVE, then we know there's a very good chance that Metasploit is going to have the, an exploit inside to use, rather an exploit module to use. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this because that was for the last box. Let's go back and let's just get a scan going to see if we can find any new content directories on this server. And while that's running, let's go ahead and get back to our Metasploit. Yep, session died. And let's see what we got again. Oops. All right, so here are the exploits. Let's go ahead and pause that. And again, nothing too earth-shattering, folders to be expected. And let's start working through some of these exploits. So we need to change the remote host. So we're going to change that 10, 10, 10, 14. Everything else looks good. So we can go ahead and execute this payload. Oh, and we lucked out. Again, I think that was the same one as the last box as well, but we were able to get an interpreter session off this WebDAV SC storage path from URL vulnerability. So this is good. This is going to give us a foothold on the system, but again, we need to migrate to a different process. So we'll migrate to PID 1808 and see if that works for us. And it did. So now let's check our UID. There we go. Let's see if we can get system. And nope, none of them worked. So, all right, see what Burp is complaining about. We find anything new? Nope, on images. I'll let it keep going. All right, so now we have a shell on the server. Let's go back to Metasploit. What was that post module? No, search. Maybe local exploit. Yeah, I think that was it. There we go. So we'll use the local exploit suggester to see if we can find any potential local privilege escalations to get ourselves. Oh yeah, our session needs to be changed to, I think, 2. Yep. So we're going to use set global sessions 2. Now we'll run our module. And again, it's going to use that interpreter session, reach out, collect a bunch of information, and then determine any potential local privilege escalation exploits that we might be able to use. So let's go ahead and keep that dirbuster going. And it's finding some exploits. So without any obvious intel on any particular ones that might be vulnerable, let's actually do this. Let's go back to our session and let's get system. Get sys, or sysinfo rather. So again, we're running 86. All right. So let's just check our options. Set to session 2. We need to update our local host. Let's make sure everything. Oh, why didn't that work? Let's see real quick. All right, we're still good. Let's set our payload. Windows, interpreter, reverse TCP. Why? So for some reason, it's not picking up our IP. So let's try this. There we go. Okay, everything looks good. So we're going to try that local privilege escalation. And that worked. That very first one worked. We have a new session, as you can see right here. And if that worked, then we should be able to type get UID and be system. So bam, we rooted that one pretty darn quickly. And that is basically the spray and pray approach. And the idea is just that, you know, working through all the available exploit modules that are relevant to your specific service that you're targeting and attempting them to see if they work. If they work, boom, you're in. If not, well, then you know that's not exactly what you're going after, or you may potentially need to modify the exploit code for your specific situation. But if you're new and you actually want to pop some shells without a lot of effort and perhaps understanding a lot of things that you'll want to learn eventually, you can just use this approach. So let's just go ahead and demonstrate that we can access the flag. Let's see. And there we go. Again, I'm not going to show the flag. However, you're more than welcome to get on HackTheBox, fire up the box, and hack it yourself to get the shell. So that was pretty quick and easy, but like I said, that's a very simple strategy to use on some of these boxes that are CVE related. Now, there's going to be instances where you might, run into particular applications on the website or even on the OS side that you're not going to find an exploit inside of Metasploit. So you may have to either develop your own exploit, or possibly you might have to modify the exploit that's within inside Metasploit for it to work with your specific situation. Because sometimes you may have to change directory paths. Sometimes you may need a different memory address, or you may need to adjust the time variables on specific functions within that exploit code. It just all kind of depends. This box that we just did was a grandpa. So in this live stream, we basically did the two old folk boxes, and that was Granny and Grandpa. And both of those boxes were based around CVEs. So they were pretty simple. They didn't really require any sort of thinking or, really understanding of systems. These are just some very basic, get into Metasploit. And really, these two boxes, in my opinion, are a good training in learning how to use Metasploit, because you can hack these boxes without really understanding anything about hacking. You just need to learn how to use Metasploit and use the available modules inside the platform. So if you're not very familiar with Metasploit, I definitely recommend using these two boxes to practice your Metasploit skills. So guys, I think that's going to do it for this time. I appreciate you guys sticking out through some of those hiccups we had in the beginning. It's been literally over a year since I have done any sort of live streaming or any content creation. Sorry about that. Sometimes it's good to just take a break, and I needed a break. But I'm going to be working on new videos in the future. I hope to be doing some regular live streams. Like I might try to do a live stream Hack the Box maybe every other weekend, or maybe even every weekend. I'm not quite sure. I just need to find some sort of schedule that I can commit to. But this definitely won't be the last live stream. If you have any recommendations on any sort of videos you would like me to see, any specific boxes you would like me to hack, any specific type of, ethical hacking topics, whether that be buffer overflows, web application auditing, Python scripts, maybe blue team activities, whatever you might be interested in, just let me know. You can throw it in the chat. You can leave a comment on one of my videos. But yeah, just let me know what you guys are interested in, and I will work on getting some new content on the site. But that's going to do it for today, and I will see you guys on the other side.